we got a pretty big leak going on. Can't ignore it any longer. Losing too much fluid. Probably not safe. So we're going to yank this cylinder out of here and try to put some seals in it. Don't be afraid to do the work yourself, guys. If you just look on your cylinder, you'll find a model number on it. Just Google it and get a seal kit. They're cheap. You can get these Taiwanese Chinesium kits. I think it's like 12 bucks. I'll put a link in the description. This is a 9,000 pound Rotary. Alright, hang tight. If I remember right, the hardest part about this job is convincing your wife to come out and put the hose back on the bottom of that cylinder, because it's kind of tight. So, first thing we're going to do is get this lift all the way up, set it on the locks, and then we got to pull that cylinder all the way back down. Let's see what happens. So what I've done is put it all the way up, set it on the locks, and then I put a bungee cord around the handle to relieve pressure, and then we're going to physically, actually we may not have to, that's how bad that seal is, it's just dropping. So that's going to come all the way out, all the way down. That's what we got to pay attention to when we go back together. So it's got to go through that slot or a hole. If not, you'll push this carriage clean up through. You don't want to do that. Alright, we're just going to hang out, wait for this thing to bleed down. You'll notice on this side, it's not even moving. That's what happens when you get a good seal. Let's wait this guy out. Maybe we'll clean up a little bit. As you can see, it is all the way down. Should be floating. Yep. So the only thing we got to do is pop the line off, lift to top, and pull out the bottom, and the whole cylinder will come on out of there. And as you can see on this side, he is still all the way up. So we're gonna move that tool. Once you take the line off, get a couple of these fittings, put one on the line, put one in the cylinder. That way the cylinder doesn't slide out on you, and the line don't keep leaking while you're working. I'm not sure where I got those from, but I'm sure you can look it up. Alright, we got her on the table here. Here's the plug we put on where our line goes. Everything's sealed, right? That's bad. So I can also hear how much fluid's in it. When you do this, expect to make a giant mess. That happens. I'm going to try to pop the bleeder off that's at the top of the ram cylinder. Loosen my cap and see if I can at least try to drain some of this fluid out. We'll see what happens. Worst case, when we pull this piston out, it's going to make a big mess. Let's see what happens. Yep, figures. Got some of it. Cool, so we made a little mess. Not a huge deal. At least in the concrete, or the gravel, I mean. Alright, so now we gotta get this little clip out of here. It goes in a channel all the way around, which releases this cap. So, that's next. See, just pops right up out of there. It's got a little hooked end. Don't lose that. And that's the channel that pin or that clip slides into that locks everything in. So now we're just going to walk this piston out. Ram, whatever you want to call it. Alright, well, we'll get these off, compare them to our new, make sure they're right, and get it back together. So the first seal we're going to do is inside this cap. So we're going to knock off this fitting, slide that off, change the seal, put it back on. Hello. Sorry about that. You okay? Everybody alright? Check your O-ring. O-ring looks good. I'm not worried about that one. And that's a fun one to get out. Rock hard. That ain't doing any good in there. Let's see if we got a new one. Nice new one. Pliable, like it should be. Yeah, that's better. Torqued. You see how those things just disintegrate. Got it. Well, we got them all in there. I did have to heat that guy up with a heat gun just to get it a little warm. It's pliable, 40 degrees out, so a little stiff. Alright, I'm going to try to get this shoved back in the tube. This thing put back together. A little bit of grunting and pissing around. Finally got her back in. Slide her the rest of the way in and get her seal in and a clip. Alright, what you gotta find, that little hole. That little hole is what grabs this hook and spins it in. Let's see what we can do. We're in. Cap back on. As you can see, I cannot pull it back out because the unit is sealed. Alright, I'm going to throw it back in the lift. One other thing I'd like to note is don't think you have to use everything in the kit. A lot of these are universal. You usually will not use all of it. These are all the extras I have. And they'll look good in the garbage. Well, there it is, guys. Got her back in. Was able to talk the wife into coming out and sticking her little tiny hands down there to get that hose threaded on. Once you get it in, just start feeding it the onion. Running it up, just make sure it goes up through the holes, as if not, you will push this carriage right through the top of the lift. And then top her off with some ATF, let her down, and then we got to bleed it. Once you get it most of the way down, stand on that, loosen that bolt up a little bit, and that's your bleeder. Bleed all the air out till she leaks a little bit, and then you should be good to go. Just make sure you run your lift up and down a few times. It's going to shake and bounce. That just tells you there's still air in the system. So do that a few times, bleed both sides if you need to. Make sure you keep topping off your ATF. Alright, now we can tear back into this truck. Hopefully get something done. Have a good one.